Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is with me now. And, sir, good afternoon to you, and thank you for your time and being here today.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me on the show this afternoon.
You just launched a commission on unalienable rights here in Philadelphia today. Why is this commission necessary?
Well, Bill, you were just talking about China. The rights that we have, that the Declaration of Independence set forth, that are in our Constitution, are central to American foreign policy. We have to get that right. We have this deep tradition. It's under attack. You see it with the 1619 Project. You see it with people who just hate America. We have to go back to our central understandings of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness that our founders set out for us. If we're going to conduct effective foreign policy and push back against tyrannical authoritarian regimes like China, we have to get it right here at home first.
In the Wall Street Journal, you read this today. Human rights advocacy has lost its bearings and become more of an industry than a moral compass. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think that's right. So I set up this commission to go reground America. We have this rich tradition, Bill. People know it. They know it in their hearts. This idea that there are these rights that were given to us by God, and government was designed to secure them. And we need to remind ourselves of that. And when we do that, when we remind ourselves of those unalienable rights, then all the other things that flow from that will be good. And you see too many times that we stray from that. And when we stray from it, when we talk to other nations and demand that they stop the horrible, gross human rights violations that they're engaged in around the world, we won't have a basis from which to do it.
You point out in the piece, Eleanor Roosevelt started this in 1947. What's changed in 73 years later?
You know, in some ways, we're just going back to those first principles. What's changed is a phrase that Lincoln had, which was the artillery of time has just diminished our ability to think about this and remind ourselves of how central this is to who we are as Americans. This is an exceptional nation. We need to secure those freedoms for all of our people, and when we do that, we can conduct an effective foreign policy, and I think President Trump has demonstrated that time and time again.
Okay, I've got a laundry list of things that go through around the world in a moment here, but just one more question on this point. How long have you thought this way?
Long time, Bill. Since I was a young soldier, a cadet, too many years ago, I've always been thinking about how it is that we protect those freedoms that are essential to our Americanness, this unique and exceptional nation. So it's something I've been thinking about for a while. When I became the Secretary of State, I saw that our department was not thinking about this in a way that was consistent, and I wanted to reground ourselves in these important understandings about those unalienable rights.
Thank you for expressing that here. Let's go to it now, okay? China, you said yesterday that the world would hold China accountable. How?
So I can see it happening already. I can see nations who were doing business in China who are rethinking about how to do that. If you're buying products that are the result of the slave labor that's happening in the western part of China, if you're a country that's bent the knee to China because they tried to come fish in your waters that are rightly yours for your citizens to make their lives better, I can see nations all around the world that are reasserting their claims, reasserting their sovereignty. And of course, President Trump's done that here too. For 40 years, this isn't partisan, Bill. For 40 years, we've had administrations that have just looked the other way and allowed China to trample on us. And President Trump said no more. We're going to have fair, reciprocal trade relationships. We're going to demand that the Chinese Communist Party treat Americans the same way that we treat people who go there. This is a simple understanding, and President Trump is going to demand that it happens.
满嘴谎言的美国国务卿蓬佩奥近日又莫名亢奋了。在美国和全球新冠肺炎患者依然居高不下的危急时刻，蓬佩奥不是把精力用在抗疫上，而是继续热衷于充当小人，大肆挑拨离间，不断造谣喷毒，是全球合作抗疫的破坏者。
And of course now too, we've seen a virus that started in Wuhan, China, cost the globe hundreds of thousands of people and trillions of dollars. And I believe the world is going to unite to hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for having covered this up when they could have prevented so much of this tragedy.
自新冠疫情发生以来，中国始终坚持公开、透明、负责任的抗疫原则。相形之下，那些攻击抹黑中国的美国政客，耽误了本国疫情应对和拯救生命，甚至为了一己私利而隐瞒疫情，结果导致疫情爆发，不堪收拾。那些口无遮拦、编瞎话的美国政客，还是赶紧闭上你的嘴巴，多干点儿为美国民众减轻苦痛的正事儿吧。
Name a few countries who have already lined up.
So the Europeans are getting in a better place today. You saw the United Kingdom announce yesterday they're not going to allow Chinese technology in their system. The Australians, the Japanese applauded the decision that we made about the South China Sea. Countries not only in Southeast Asia, but in Asia more broadly, and Europe have come to understand the threat that the Chinese Communist Party presents. The United States slept on this for too long. I think they all did too. And I think they're coming to a joint conclusion that it's time for the world to make sure that we get this right. For democracies and freedom-loving people around the world, it is an imperative that we push back against the challenge that the Chinese Communist Party presents to us all.
There is a report out that there could be a ban U.S. travel for Chinese Party members and their family. Will you confirm that?
Bill, we're working our way through under the president's guidance about how to think about pushing back against the Chinese Communist Party. You see it in trade, you see it in other economic activity,
So
you see it in diplomatic engagements.
Is a travel ban possible then?
We're looking at the right way to think about this. We want to make sure we do it in a way that reflects America's tradition, and there are lots of ideas that are under review by the president and by our team.
And this is one of them.
You know, Bill, I don't comment on things we're working on inside. I know others do. I prefer to let the team work, and when we're prepared to present it to the president, we will, and we'll let him make the ultimate decision.
One more question on China. We had a scientist on here the other day on this program from Hong Kong. She said she defected, said she fears for her life. She claims that human-to-human transmission occurred 3 weeks before the Chinese have copped to it. Is she right on that point?
I didn't see her remarks, but it is the case that the Chinese Communist Party was aware of human-human transmission before they shared this with the world, and that the World Health Organization itself was co-opted into this same effort to deny the world the knowledge it needed to respond to this threat from the virus that emanated from Wuhan, China.
You mentioned the UK a moment ago with regard to China. With regard to Russia, London is taking action against Russia. They believe the intelligence services out of Moscow have conducted vaccine cyber attacks. There's some suggesting they've done the same against us here in the U.S. Has Moscow harmed our ability or intersected our ability to develop an effective vaccine?
No, I think our institutions are quite capable of continuing down the road, moving on this project. I do worry. I don't want to talk about that particular subject, but I commented weeks ago about Chinese activity to do the same, to steal the intellectual property of the United States from the companies that are investing enormous resources in trying to find a vaccine to save hundreds of thousands, indeed millions of lives. I regret that other countries are, instead of working on the project and using their best minds and talents to solve this problem, are trying to steal it from Western democracies who are making real progress. This has been President Trump's mission. It's the way he thinks about keeping Americans safe, and we're going to keep hard at it.
I thank you for your time today, and sir, I hope you come back. Appreciate the thought there from Philadelphia today.
I'll do that.
让我们团结，共同飞出抵制吧！一切都是刚刚开始。你爆料，我跟随。